why you're not losing fat after 40, and what no one told you about fixing it. It was 2:14 a.m. when the message came in. A woman, 54 years old, wrote, "I eat clean. I exercise more than my husband. I've even cut out carbs, but the scale won't move. In fact, my belly feels worse than ever." And you know what? She's not alone. Thousands of people in their 40s, 50s, even 60s are silently battling the same thing. You're doing all the right things, but your body seems to betray you. Here's the shocker. It's not about calories. It's not about willpower. The truth is your body changes after 40, and if you don't change your strategy with it, you'll keep fighting a losing battle. Most weight loss advice out there? It's made for 25-year-olds with fast metabolisms and zero hormonal chaos. In this video, we're throwing those outdated rules out the window. I'll walk you through exactly what's really happening inside your body. And more importantly, how to work with it, not against it. This isn't just about looking better. It's about feeling in control again. So let's start with the real reason fat loss feels impossible after 40. The silent shift. What happens to your body after 40? When you cross 40, something quiet but powerful begins to happen in your body. It's not dramatic. There's no sudden switch. But over time, you start to notice things that didn't happen before. Weight creeps up, especially around your midsection. You feel more tired even after a full night's sleep. And that same workout you used to crush in your 30s, it leaves you drained, with little to show on the scale. This isn't just getting older. It's a physiological shift your body goes through. Around this age, your metabolism naturally slows down by 1 to 2% per decade. You begin to lose lean muscle mass, a process called sarcopenia, which quietly reduces the number of calories your body burns at rest. Meanwhile, hormones like estrogen and testosterone begin to decline, making it easier to gain fat, especially visceral fat, the dangerous kind that wraps around your organs. On top of that, many people over 40 experience an increase in cortisol, the stress hormone, which not only stores fat around your belly but also disrupts sleep and increases cravings. One of my patients, Mark, a 47-year-old father of 2, told me, "Doc, I eat less than ever. I even skip meals, and somehow my waist keeps expanding." He wasn't lazy or undisciplined. He was doing what he'd always done, but his body had changed, and no one told him how to adapt. That's the silent shift. It doesn't yell for your attention, but it changes the rules of the game. And if you keep playing by the old rules, cut calories, do more cardio, skip meals, you'll end up frustrated, exhausted, and stuck. But here's the good news. Your body isn't broken. It's simply asking for a different kind of support, one that aligns with where you are now, not where you were 10 or 20 years ago. Once you understand this shift, you can stop blaming yourself. You can stop chasing diets that don't work, and you can start building a strategy that's rooted in biology, not guilt. Because you don't need to do more, you just need to do different. And it starts by understanding the real drivers behind weight gain after 40. One of the biggest? It's not fat itself. It's something much sneakier and far more powerful. Insulin resistance. Let's talk about that next. Fat loss is not just about calories, especially after menopause. For decades, we've been told that weight loss is a simple math problem. Burn more calories than you consume, and the fat will melt away. But if you're over 40, and especially if you're postmenopausal, you've probably learned the hard way that it's not that simple. You eat less, exercise more, maybe even skip meals, but your weight barely moves. Or worse, your belly gets bigger. Why? Because after menopause, your body's relationship with fat fundamentally changes. As estrogen levels decline, your body begins to shift fat storage from your hips and thighs, where it's been safely stored for years, toward your midsection. This isn't just a cosmetic concern. Belly fat, particularly visceral fat, is metabolically active. It drives inflammation, increases insulin resistance, and raises your risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. The scale may not show a massive jump, but your body composition, the ratio of fat to lean muscle, is shifting quietly and steadily. In fact, one long-term US study found that women going through menopause gained an average of only 3.5 pounds, but lost nearly half a pound of muscle, meaning fat was replacing lean mass. That's why focusing only on calories is misleading. A 58-year-old woman named Lisa once told me, "I eat 1,200 calories a day, salads, grilled chicken, no dessert, and I still can't lose weight." But what Lisa didn't realize was that her body was underfueled, her stress levels were high, and her metabolism had adapted to this chronic restriction. Instead of burning fat, her body was clinging to it. It's not about how little you eat, it's about what your body does with what you eat. And that depends on your hormones, your muscle mass, your stress levels, and how safe your body feels. The lesson here? You can't out-diet your biology. And after menopause, your biology is calling for a smarter, more compassionate approach. That means eating enough protein to preserve muscle, avoiding extreme calorie cuts, and working with your hormones, not against them. This isn't about giving up, it's about leveling up, embracing a more strategic, sustainable path that honors the phase of life you're in. So if calories aren't the villain, what is? The answer might surprise you, and it's one of the biggest reasons belly fat won't budge after 40. Let's take a closer look at insulin resistance.
The hidden villain: insulin resistance and belly fat. If you've been struggling with stubborn belly fat after 40, even though you're eating better, moving more, and cutting out sugar, there's a hidden villain that might be working against you: insulin resistance. It's one of the most overlooked yet powerful drivers of fat gain, especially around the waistline. To understand insulin resistance, imagine your cells are tiny locks, and insulin is the key that helps glucose, your blood sugar, get inside for energy. When your cells become resistant, the key no longer works well. Glucose stays in your bloodstream, and your body compensates by pumping out even more insulin. Over time, high insulin levels signal your body to do two things: store more fat and stop burning it. In short, insulin becomes a fat-storing hormone, and when it's constantly elevated, it practically locks your fat in place. This is why so many people over 40 feel stuck, despite doing everything right. I once worked with James, a 50-year-old teacher. He wasn't overweight as a young man, but over the years, his waistline quietly expanded. He wasn't eating junk. In fact, he skipped breakfast, had a sandwich at lunch, and a light dinner. But his stress was high, his sleep was poor, and his insulin levels had been climbing silently for years. When we checked his fasting insulin and A1C, both were elevated, classic signs of insulin resistance. Once we shifted his meals to prioritize protein, added walking after dinner, and reduced snacking, he lost 3 inches from his waist in just 2 months, without counting a single calorie. That's the power of understanding insulin. Here's the truth. Insulin resistance doesn't just affect people with diabetes. It often shows up decades before any diagnosis, as low energy, sugar cravings, belly fat, and weight that won't budge. The good news? It's not a life sentence. In fact, your body is incredibly responsive when you start making the right changes, especially when you stop spiking insulin with every snack or sugary drink. So if you've been thinking, maybe my metabolism is broken, I want you to consider this instead. Maybe your body is just protecting you in the only way it knows how, by holding on to fat as a response to high insulin and stress. And once you lower that insulin, the gates can finally open. So how do you lower insulin naturally? The answer lies in one of the most overlooked nutrients in modern diets, and it's something most people over 40 aren't getting nearly enough of. Let's talk about that next. Protein, the most underused fat loss weapon. If there's one change that could completely shift the way your body responds to food after 40, it's this: eat more protein. Not as a bodybuilding trick, not as a short-term diet trend, but as a powerful tool to support your metabolism, reduce cravings, preserve muscle, and yes, lose fat more effectively. After 40, you naturally begin to lose muscle mass. And with that loss comes a slower metabolism, weaker bones, and a body that burns fewer calories at rest. But here's the kicker. Protein is the one macronutrient that can actually help you build back what age tries to take away. It's the only one that directly supports muscle repair and growth. And it's incredibly satiating, meaning you feel full longer, with fewer blood sugar crashes or late-night cravings. One of my patients, Nancy, was 62 when we first spoke. She'd been eating healthy for years. Oatmeal for breakfast, salad for lunch, maybe some rice and veggies at dinner. But she was only getting about 40 grams of protein per day, half of what her body needed. Once we bumped her intake to around 90 grams daily, spread across 3 meals, things started to shift. She stopped needing snacks between meals, had more energy in the afternoon, and lost 7 pounds in 6 weeks without increasing her exercise or cutting more calories. That's the hidden power of protein. And yet, most adults, especially women over 40, are undereating it by a long shot. Research suggests that aiming for about 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of goal body weight can support fat loss, muscle retention, and metabolic health. For most people, that's 90 to 120 grams per day, or about 30 to 40 grams per meal. The easiest way to get there? Start each meal with a protein anchor. Eggs with your oats, chicken or lentils in your salad, Greek yogurt with seeds and fruit. If needed, a high-quality protein shake can help fill the gap, especially for busy mornings or post-exercise recovery. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. And once you give your body the building blocks it's been craving, you may find that your appetite calms down, your energy rises, and your scale finally starts to shift. Fat loss after 40 doesn't require eating less. It often requires eating smarter. And speaking of smart, the next piece of the puzzle is timing. Because when you eat matters just as much as what you eat. Let's talk about that next. Meal timing and fasting. What actually works for midlife fat loss? By now, most people have heard of intermittent fasting. And chances are, you've even tried it. Maybe you skipped breakfast, fasted until noon, or tried the famous 16-8 window. And while it may have worked for some people in their 30s, you might have noticed something different happening in your 40s and beyond. Fatigue, brain fog, maybe even weight gain. That's because when it comes to fasting and meal timing, context matters. And after 40, especially for women approaching or beyond menopause, your hormonal landscape is different. Cortisol, your stress hormone, tends to be higher in the morning. When you skip breakfast or go long periods without eating, you may be unintentionally adding fuel to the stress fire. This can lead to increased belly fat, unstable blood sugar, and cravings that hit hard by mid-afternoon. I worked with a couple in their mid-50s, both trying to lose weight, both skipping breakfast. He lost a few pounds, but she hit a wall. Once we simply added a balanced breakfast with protein and healthy fats, eggs, avocado, and berries, her energy came back, her cravings disappeared, and she lost 4 pounds in the first month without changing anything else. The truth is, fasting isn't bad, but it's not one size fits all. For midlife metabolism, what tends to work better is something called time-restricted eating, where you eat within a 10 to 12-hour window, but still have 2 to 3 solid meals. This approach gives your body the metabolic benefits of fasting: better insulin sensitivity, improved digestion, fat burning, without triggering stress or hormone imbalances. And here's a powerful trick: walk after dinner. Just 10 to 12 minutes of light walking helps lower blood sugar, reduce evening insulin spikes, and signals your body to burn, not store, fat. It's simple, sustainable, and incredibly effective. Think of it this way: meal timing isn't about deprivation, it's about rhythm. When you align your eating schedule with your body's natural clock, eating more during daylight, less at night, everything works more smoothly. You sleep better, you digest better, you lose weight more steadily. The takeaway? You don't have to starve your way slim. In fact, the most successful fat loss strategies after 40 are about nourishment, not restriction, and about timing your meals to work with your biology, not against it. And speaking of working smarter, not harder, let's talk about exercise next.
because how you move matters just as much as when you eat. Stop doing cardio like you're 25. Do this instead. If you've been pounding the treadmill or pushing through endless spin classes, hoping to melt off the belly fat that arrived after 40, and yet nothing's changing, it's time for a reframe. You don't need more cardio. You need the right kind of movement for the body you have now, not the one you had at 25. In your younger years, your body was more resilient to stress. You could hit the gym hard, skip meals, sleep 5 hours, and still bounce back. But after 40, your nervous system, joints, and hormone balance become more sensitive, and chronic cardio can backfire. Long, intense workouts elevate cortisol, your stress hormone, which in small doses is fine, but when elevated consistently, it promotes fat storage, especially around the belly, breaks down muscle, and even disrupts your thyroid. I had a client, Andrea, 53, who was doing boot camp workouts 5 days a week. She was exhausted, inflamed, and gaining weight. When we scaled her back to 3 strength training sessions per week, added daily walks, and encouraged rest, she lost 12 pounds in 3 months, had more energy, and said she finally felt human again. The solution isn't to move less. It's to move smarter. Start with strength training 2 to 3 times per week. Lifting weights, or even body weight resistance, helps preserve and rebuild muscle, which boosts your metabolism and improves insulin sensitivity. Don't worry, you won't bulk up. In fact, this is how you get leaner, stronger, and more toned. Next, layer in low-impact, steady movement like walking, especially after meals. Just 10 to 15 minutes of post-meal walking has been shown to lower blood sugar and enhance fat burning. It's gentle on the joints and powerful for your hormones. And don't underestimate rest. Recovery is when your body repairs, rebalances, and responds to all the good work you've done. Skipping rest in midlife is like trying to run a marathon without water. It may work for a while, but eventually it catches up. So if your workouts are leaving you more tired than energized, it's time to pause and reassess. Because exercise in midlife should give more than it takes: energy, strength, mobility, confidence. And the best part? You don't have to suffer to see results. Just a shift in approach can unlock everything. Now, with movement optimized and hormones rebalanced, let's talk about the final piece: the role of smart supplements and what really helps versus what's just hype. Supplements that might help, but only if the basics are right. Let's be honest, when the weight won't budge, when energy is low and sleep is broken, it's tempting to reach for a pill that promises to fix it all. And yes, supplements can absolutely support your journey, but only if the foundation is already in place. Without proper nutrition, movement, and rest, supplements are like throwing vitamins at a burning building. They won't stop the fire. They might just give off a little extra smoke. That said, when used strategically, the right supplements can make a real difference, especially in midlife, when nutrient absorption declines, stress is higher, and hormone shifts can throw things off balance. One of the most well-researched and underappreciated options is myo-inositol, a naturally occurring compound that improves insulin sensitivity, especially helpful for those struggling with belly fat, PCOS, or prediabetes. It's been shown to reduce cravings, improve ovulatory cycles in women, and help regulate blood sugar. Another key player: magnesium. Most people over 40 are deficient, and magnesium supports everything from sleep to stress to insulin control. I often recommend magnesium glycinate for relaxation, or magnesium citrate for digestion. Omega-3 fatty acids, especially from fish oil, are powerful for reducing inflammation, improving triglycerides, and supporting heart and brain health. Many of my clients who started taking 1 to 2 grams per day reported fewer aches, more stable moods, and better focus. And let's not forget vitamin D, especially for those living in less sunny areas. Low levels have been linked to poor immune function, low mood, and increased fat storage. Ideally, get tested and aim for blood levels between 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter. But here's the thing. No supplement can replace sleep, whole foods, hydration, movement, and managing stress. I once had a patient who came in with a cabinet full of pills, fat burners, green powders, adaptogens, but she was skipping meals, working 14-hour days, and sleeping 5 hours a night. Once we cut her supplements down to just 3 essentials and rebuilt her routine around nourishing meals, daily walks, and consistent rest, her body responded within weeks. The insight here? Supplements should support your efforts, not replace them. They work best when your body is already primed to heal and burn fat naturally. Think of them as the icing, not the cake. So before you add more pills, ask yourself, have I mastered the basics? If yes, then adding the right nutrients can absolutely accelerate your results. And once those physical pieces are in place, there's one last shift that matters just as much, a mindset transformation. Because this journey is about more than weight. It's about freedom, energy, and self-trust. Let's bring it all together next. This isn't about weight. It's about energy, freedom, and confidence. Somewhere along the way, we were taught to measure our worth and our health by a number on a scale. But the truth is, what most people over 40 really want isn't just to weigh less. It's to feel lighter, more energized, more alive in their own skin, less burdened by the aches, fatigue, and fog that seem to creep in with every passing year. When I ask my patients what they truly want, very few say, I want to lose 20 pounds. What they say is, I want to wake up without pain. I want to keep up with my grandkids. I want to feel good in my clothes again. I want to stop feeling like I'm failing. These are not vanity goals. These are quality of life goals. And that's the real reason we care about fat loss after 40. Not for beach bodies, but for the freedom to live fully. One of my favorite stories is from a woman named Teresa, 61, who had been through years of dieting and self-blame. We didn't start with weight loss. We started with small wins, a morning walk, more protein at breakfast, a better sleep routine. 6 months later, she was down 15 pounds. But what mattered more? She smiled when she told me, I feel like myself again. That's the real transformation. The shift from punishment to nourishment. From control to care. From chasing numbers to reclaiming your vitality. If this journey has taught us anything, it's that fat loss after 40 is not about doing more, it's about doing different. It's about aligning with your body, not fighting it. It's about building health from the inside out, with food, movement, rest, mindset, and yes, patience. And most importantly, it's about believing that change is still possible, that your best years are not behind you, but ahead. So if you've been stuck, if you've tried it all and nothing seems to work, let this be your reminder. You are not broken. Your body is not the enemy. You just need the right tools, the right rhythm, and the right kind of support. Start small, be consistent, and give yourself the same grace you'd offer a friend. Because the goal isn't perfection. It's progress, peace, and a life that feels good to live. And if you're wondering whether insulin resistance might be the silent force behind your weight struggles, in our next video, I'll walk you through the early signs and how to reverse it naturally. Don't miss it. I appreciate you watching. Remember, when it comes to your health, every small step counts. If this video inspired you, please give it a thumbs up, share it so others can benefit, and subscribe to our channel. We'll keep delivering practical, research-based tips to help you control your weight and feel your very best.